Welcome to the November Job Board Leaders Roundtable Zoom call. We come to you every month, the second Thursday. Basically, a bunch of leaders, people involved in the job board industry, either working for job boards, recruitment marketplaces, organizations that are closely affiliated with them, to talk about things that are happening in our industry, good, bad, ugly. And today, hopefully, we'll talk more good than bad or ugly. I'm Stephen Rothberg. I am the founder of College Recruiter job search site. These sessions are sponsored each month by our friends at Job Boards Connect and Louise Grant. My friend, and I was going to say like accomplice, but I don't think that's fair to you, is here with us. Good to see you, Louise.
Well, you do get me in trouble sometimes, so I guess that would make sense.
Yeah. So since the
He gets
last
everyone in trouble, Louise. Don't feel bad about it.
Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. So the last of these calls in October was like a week before the fall, the annual Job Boards Connect meeting. Today's call, we're going to be focusing on like how to end 2025 strong, whether that's revenues, profits, putting into production some tech, whatever it might be. Anything that you can think of, Louise, that was talked about at the conference, even just informally or at a happy hour or something, that where people were talking about things that they were doing, say, differently now than they would have been doing in like the first quarter of the year?
We had a couple of conversations about what's working and what we need to look at. I know Matt was on one of those panels talking. We had a panel of niche job boards together chatting about what they were doing and what they're looking at to make sure they have a strong finish to their year and a good next year. One of the things that actually got talked about in the final leaders panel that we did, we had Total Jobs on stage with us. And one of the things that he was saying is that he's just doubling down on making sure what they're doing now, they can improve on and do better. So there was quite a lot of discussion about, what is working for you, really making sure you're doing the best you can, and where you've got areas where perhaps you're not doing as well as you could be, really doubling down and concentrating on some of the quick wins, some of the smaller things that actually can really make some incremental improvements to what you do. So that was
Interest,
fine.
Interesting. So I had a friend years ago advise me, also a job board owner. Well, he won't mind if I call him out. Andy Hibble from Higher Ed Jobs. And what he said to me is that, and I think I've gotten a lot better about this, but I think it's along the same lines, Louise, as what you were saying, is that rather than looking for the shiny new thing outside of the organization, look for the shiny new thing inside the organization. You don't have to build a new product, find new customers, right? Just do better with what you're already doing. Was the person from Total Jobs, were they saying like, hey, business is slower now for a lot of job boards. This is the time when we should be hitting stuff we've deferred? Or was the idea something else?
Well, I think there was a lot of discussion. It's been a tough year. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that would dispute that. It's been rough, and so everybody's kind of looking at what they can do better and where they can look for new business. But yeah, very much so looking at what you're already doing. I mean, there was a lot of discussion about AI. I know Joe was there and Matt, and we talked. There was different discussions about charging job seekers, lots of discussions about AI, so the different models and kind of exploring that idea of thinking about what your current model is and are there other opportunities. So the conversation certainly steered in that direction. It's a bit of a challenge in the UK market because charging job seekers is a little bit controversial, and you can only do it in a certain way because certain ways of doing it would be illegal. So you have to be very careful, the law and what you can and can't do. But there are certainly people in the UK that are monetising services that they offer to candidates as well. So that's another potential conversation point that came up during the day.
There was
Awesome.
also that job board owner from BC, wasn't there, from British Columbia in Canada. And she's got her model of charging candidates, from what she was saying, seems to be working really, really well. So I guess the law in Canada is different. I see Anne might know that, but yeah, it's pretty strict here, and we're limited on what we can do around charging candidates.
Yeah, and do you you're with Toronto Jobs? I would imagine. I mean, there's going to be a difference between the law in Ontario and the law in British Columbia, but maybe it's the same. Maybe it's a Canadian law. Is it legal for job boards to charge
Uh,
candidates?
it's legal, but it's really not favorably looked upon. It's certainly, I don't think it's being done anywhere in the GTA, Greater Toronto Area, or in Ontario. It's not something I personally would go down that path. I just don't think that's the way to go at all. What job board was it? I'm curious. Does anyone know the BC one?
It was remote jobs, I think. So,
Remote jobs.
something about remote jobs.
Yeah.
Was it employers.io? Was it Maggie Miller you were talking about, Matt?
Is it? Sorry, I was gonna. Sorry, say that again.
No, I think it's. Sorry to jump in. I think it's Leo's job board, remote rocket ship. I think that's the one you're talking about.
Yes. Okay.
What
Well,
are they
I knew
charging?
someone would remember.
What exactly? Like, what's the fee for exactly for the job seeker? Like, what triggers the fee?
Good question. I think it's basically he makes sure that all the jobs are real jobs and quality jobs and live and things like that. So it's making sure that the jobs are well structured, are actually remote jobs, because a lot of jobs claim to be remote jobs, but they're actually not. So it's also to do with something like that. But I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, he's not the Canadian job site because he's based in the UK. So there is another one. There is another one which is called Remote. It's like remotejobs.io or something as well, which we might be crossing fields. But Rocket Reach had a no, not Rocket Reach, remote rocket ship. Leo's one did 1 million users a month ago.
So interesting, Ben.
I think whatever the law is. It's not being enforced, and the market has gone.
Interesting on two counts. So Ben, thank you for the actual information. Also, I haven't seen you with a beard, so that's also I like that. Peter Zollman, I know AIM Group has written a bunch about this issue, about job boards that either have always charged job seekers or who have added that or who have transitioned to that. And I remember one of the conferences that you hosted, maybe Barcelona, might have been Berlin, where there was a woman who spoke about how different the job market is in Africa and how it's really normal there. And I think other areas of the world too, for the employer to post for free, but the job seeker to be charged. Can you add anything about that?
I don't remember the specifics from Hilda in Africa.
That's who it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember the specifics from her, but we are definitely seeing more and more job boards that are trying to take money from job seekers as employers cut back, dry up, expand their own sites. And the ultimate example is Bold, which now owns.
I was just going to say that.
Monster and Career Builder, and they've thrown the Monster Career Builder model completely out the door, and are now focused on getting money out of job seekers through resumes, CVs, and all of those services. And it's tough to throw rocks at them because clearly, for lots of reasons, I think primarily having to do with disastrous ownership, management, etc. Clearly Career Builder and Monster completely crashed and burned. But I don't think that has to do with the job board model so much as it had to do with who owned them, who milked them dry, etc.
Hey, Steve, can I just chime in for a second?
Please, Joe.
So I think most, or at least some of the folks on this call know that I'm the founder and CEO of ExecThread, which our core revenue model is B2C, charging the candidate. And I'll preface this by saying that when I started ExecThread, nearly 10 years ago, we had no intention of charging the candidate, but we pivoted it in that direction for various reasons. And I was of a like-minded consideration set early on, where I thought it was taboo to charge the candidate. And I just don't get this whole negative taboo around charging the candidate within the job board industry. I came from 5 years at eBay, 5 years in the ad tech industry, 5 years in other kind of consumer-facing digital property transactional businesses before this. And the last time I checked, if you provide value to the end user, and you put a price point on it, and you make it optional for them to pay for it, and that consumer opts into that purchase and takes out their own wallet or purse or credit card and pays for it, it's an equal value exchange. You're providing value, the consumer is finding value enough to pay for it. And especially if they continue to pay month after month, what's wrong with it? Like, I'm kind of here chuckling, hearing all this.
It's the fast.
Job boards. Hold on a second, Matt. Both the job boards connect on this call and other calls like it, where cynics in the job board industry are frowning upon charging the candidates, and I'm laughing all the way to the bank, to be quite honest. We have better margins than probably any company in the job board industry.
Joe, can I
so like I just don't understand like this constant negative perception of charging the candidate. We provide value to the candidate that's unique and differentiated that no one else does, and we charge for it. It's called an e-commerce business. It's called digital media.
What I love about this debate, actually, it's where the US and the Brits are sort of divided politically. It's the law in this country. You can't charge candidates to look for jobs, because I guess what the law says is that would discriminate against those candidates that don't have the money to look for jobs. So it's just the law here. Obviously, in the US, it's much more of a sort of, politically, you're much more, I don't know, what's the right way of saying this?
Yeah,
it looks positively on organizations to do their own thing, and hell, if they're providing a good service, why shouldn't they make any money out of it? So
I don't think this has anything to do with politics, Matt, to be quite honest. I just think
it's the law. It's the law in this country. It's UK law. So whether or not I agree with it or not,
I think that only applies to employment agencies, and I think this is something that's always kind of tripped us up in the job board world. Louise, I can see you shaking. So if you see different,
my understanding is that you can't charge someone to search and apply for jobs. So if you're a job board, that applies to you. But Joe may be offering added services that provide a value add on top of that. So I think in the UK market, as long as you allow everybody to be able to search the jobs on your site and can actually click through to apply for something, if you're adding things on top, then it's okay. And that's always been my understanding, is that, as Matt said and what I mentioned earlier, you can't charge someone to search and apply. So it would apply to job boards, but beyond that, you can value add, and there's no reason why you can't charge for creating your resume or whatever.
To be quite honest, I think the biggest challenge for job boards, traditional job boards, niche job boards that don't charge the candidate, it never has, is it's incredibly hard to pivot from that business model to a B2C revenue model. It's nearly impossible. So, you would really need to have a paradigm shift inside your company to be able to do that. So, it's almost a moot point for traditional job boards to be discussing it, because it's nearly impossible to pivot from B2B to B2C. Fortunately, we didn't have that problem. We didn't have legacy stuff to deal with. But I just think that to throw rocks at the model when you really don't understand what it means to run such a business and the value prop exchange that's happening between candidates and the platform is just not the right way to do it. Keeping an open mind about it and figuring out, there's a place in the job board world for this, or in the job search
So
space for this.
Joe, do you feel there is animosity towards your model
I definitely feel some friction. There's no doubt.
from whom?
I think you know, for I think some candidates just intuitively feel like they shouldn't pay for access. And that is the value prop that we provide, which is access to jobs you cannot access on your own. You literally cannot access them on your own if it wasn't for what we're doing. So for me, I kind of get over this kind of perception issue by saying to myself, if you, the candidate, don't see the value that we're providing, fine, don't pay for it. But many other candidates are seeing the value, and more importantly, the benefit, and good for them because they have an advantage as a result of that.
So
I
let's
guess as
let's leave the charging a job seeker, because I think that is one idea that a lot of job boards should be
Yeah.
considering as we head into the end of the year. But let's pick up on sort of the general theme of that. We started off by talking about, looking for the shiny new thing within the company versus outside the company. If it's a traditional job board that hasn't been charging job seekers, that would be the shiny new thing outside the company. And I think Joe made a good point. It'd be very, very difficult for the vast majority of job boards to pivot to that. Are there other products, services that we're either offering but not as well as we should be, or that we have not yet started to offer that we should be, that we can start to bring in towards the end of the year to improve revenue and profitability?
Can I ask Joe a quick question first, and if you want to shove it in the back burner and say let's move on?
If it's about charging job seekers to access listings, let's leave that aside. I'll post
Ethan,
that on.
I think we're connected on LinkedIn. Just shoot me a note, and we could set up a time to call the chat.
Yeah, but are people adding services? Career coaching services, whether they're driven by humans or LLMs? Are they offering resume writing that they didn't before? Are they adding new products for employers? If you're a duration-based job board, are you adding cost per click, cost per application?
We did something different. We've owned TorontoJobs.ca for a couple of decades, and we also own a staffing firm as well. And what we found with our customers was that basically speed was a problem. Getting the whole hiring process was a problem. Ghosting, everything else. So we integrated with Gahuza, and basically what that does is, when a company uploads their job on Gahuza, they press a button. The system will search our database, also search clients' ATS if they have one. It searches other databases as well, and within 15 minutes, they can interview a candidate live on the platform. That candidate has been AI matched. The candidate received a ping on their phone or on their computer with the job details. So if they enter the platform, they're interested because they've reviewed the role. So we found when we did that our engagement on the job board increased probably about 8 times. Clients were happier. So yeah, that's what we did.
And is that, did you say it's Gahuza?
Gahuza. And full disclosure, sorry.
How do you spell that?
Guhuza.
Okay. And your company or a company that you're affiliated with owns that. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
So full disclosure, we built it for our own staffing firm. And now we've, it's expanded beyond there. So we can integrate with an ATS. We're working with some job boards. We were working with Monster before the whole Bold thing happened. So now we're just kind of waiting for Bold too, because they're creating another platform. But yeah.
And my point was that this, I think this is an example of the shiny new thing within. Right. And it's not
a payout, right? For job boards that integrate with us. Exactly. But it's flipping the model entirely, right? So I don't want to monopolize the time. Like I can certainly, if someone's curious about it, I can get into how it
See,
works and all that.
there's the polite Canadian showing through, right?
Well, hey, I'd be happy to at some point do a demo. Like we think it's
Hey,
fantastic.
wait, was that you calling on me?
We've been led to believe that polite Canadian is redundant, by the way, Stephen. You're the exception that proves the rule.
Well, I was extradited to the U.S. like 30 years ago, so that's what happens. Let's move on.
I have just something to say, if you don't
Please,
mind.
Mike.
Yeah, so I think the question should be, what could we do to increase revenue now to the end of the year without incurring extra cost of building something, of hiring somebody or doing whatever, right? So when we talk about what's within, what could we do that won't cost us money to try and get, if that makes sense, if anybody has any ideas.
Well, there's no cost for you guys with Kahuza, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, you had to build it. What I'm saying is we have to build something as a cost
Well, you don't have to build it.
Right?
Yeah.
So there are definitely and if I can put words in your mouth, I think what you're saying isn't not necessarily about Kahuza, but about other solutions as well.
Sure.
Is that there are things that we all have that are sort of sitting there that are underutilized, or that there's another organization that we can partner with, and that don't
want, right? What do your clients want? What do they complain about? I mean, that's the path we went down, right? Like speed, efficiency, cost, like all of these things, right? Because the job board's great, you post a job, but then there's all those other costs involved within. If you offer them a service that cuts out sourcing, screening, scheduling, then you're increasing your revenues, you're making your clients happy. It's a win-win all around. And candidate experience is huge too, right? So it also improves the candidate experience, which is why Toronto Jobs, the board engagement went up.
And I think that requires really listening to your clients and not fooling ourselves into what we think they want so that we don't have to do. Like sometimes if you don't admit that you're wrong or that there's a gap there, then you're not going to solve it. And I think any business, any organization always has some problems, always has opportunities, right? So if you're really listening to your clients, what they actually want, that might lead you into saying, you know what, we've been pushing this approach and it's the wrong approach for our clients. So we're going to change it. We're going to add. And that can lead to some success too. Is anybody looking or even in the process of rolling out something with a partnership where they think that it's going to pay pretty good dividends? I've got one that I can talk to, but I'd rather have somebody else go first if they're working on something. Matt, Matt Farrer, one thing that you did a little bit earlier this year, right, is that you and my apologies in advance if I mischaracterize it, but basically it's like we have our software that's running our job board. We're going to leave that behind. We're going to switch and use an outsourced provider. I think it's Jobico in your case. And I'm not asking you to open up your like financial statements for the group, but was that primarily a financial decision? Was that because I got to think that there are some job boards that are really struggling with a lot of cost in maintaining their systems, maybe building new ones. And then another strategy might be to switch to a Jobico or one of their competitors, although I don't think Thibault would say that they have any competitors, but that's another story for another day.
It wasn't a financial decision. It was a strategic decision because I felt that the technology that we were on was not well equipped enough for the future. And I've got to say, so I'm only 3 weeks in, so we finally migrated 3 weeks ago, and I'm really pleased. So we worked a lot with Alex Tchaikovsky on our SEO strategy. So we've got an AI optimized SEO strategy now as well. So the sites are really nicely well ordered and organized. I'm pleased. So yeah.
And how long from the point that you sort of said, okay, I'm going to make the switch, then you need to get the contract in place, then you need to do the tech work and some others. Was it several months? Was it a 6-month kind of a process? What
6 months end to end? So I mean, Thibaut might correct me, but it was around about end of March time that I said, okay, I'll sign the contract. We'd had the conversations, signed the contract. Work began mid-May, and we went live on the 23rd of October. But we were a complicated one. We've got 4 job boards, 2 currencies, and we were plugging in quite a complicated extra process with Alex Tchaikovsky's AI classification engine. So yeah, it was a complicated one. So it wouldn't normally take that long. And we got a lot of data, been around for 18 years. So it's like moving home, but you got a lot of boxes to move.
Yeah, and the boxes that shouldn't be moved, of course, always belong to your spouse. None of your stuff. All of your stuff is good, right?
Well, I've got everything I own is fitting in a suitcase. It's just all the other junk that everybody has.
Yeah. So Thibaut, we're in the middle of November. If people want to make a switch like that by the end of the year, I'm just sort of thinking about the theme of the call. Is whether it's Jobico or another third-party provider, call it 6 weeks during a holiday season. Is that feasible to make that switch? Or is it kind of like you can get pretty far along, but realistically it's going to be January, February?
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is that typically it does take 6 weeks. As I say, Matt had quite a lot of boxes, and we had things that we had to do on top of that. Some Brexit things that I didn't even think about and completely forgot. But that's just the way things work, I suppose. What I would say is that if you're not having a conversation with us now, then you can forget it for this year. And even because ultimately we go through a very detailed solutioning and scoping process, so that can take anywhere between a couple of weeks to a month, because we really want to make sure that we understand exactly what you need, how to bring that over, any pitfalls. With Matt, we were very, very structured. Matt knew exactly what he wanted to do. Matt is very methodical, gave us a lot of questions pre-signing the contract, gave us a lot of questions during signing the contract, gave us a lot of questions after signing the contract. That's the way that Matt works, and we can work in that way. If you already have a conversation with us, as I say, we already said that we're still, our goal is to launch job boards fast. So if we were to sign the contract tomorrow, you're looking at mid-January. So it depends how hard you want to work over Christmas. My developers are very keen that I don't make the same mistake as last year and sign a contract on the 15th of December and demand a mid-January implementation. So I've been told that I can't put people working over the Christmas period. But that's currently the timelines that we're looking at.
And that's really helpful. So as an aside, Matt having a ton of questions, personally, I always prefer that customers are well informed. I'd rather they ask too many questions and not have misunderstandings later, because a lot of times those can just prevent problems down the line. But I think to your point too is that this tends to be a slower time of the year in almost every business, right? Retail's an exception, but lots of businesses, as we head into the end of the year, this is an opportunity when the phone isn't ringing off the hook. You don't have customers, demanding a lot of stuff at this point, where you can actually get a lot of the stuff done that you've deferred. Putting tech stuff into production during an off time is a lot safer. So when we put in something major, we try to do it like in the middle of the night on a Sunday. So if there's a problem, it doesn't impact a lot of people. And I kind of think this time of the year is somewhat similar to that.
Yeah, and this is I definitely agree with that, Stephen. We also see some people giving a lot of things over the summer break as well. But what's interesting, and I suppose in Europe, something that we're seeing and is that we know this with our larger enterprise clients, is that right now it's October, November time, and that's the budget planning for the next fiscal year. So that's when the conversations come in over the Christmas time, so that they can already think about the decisions moving forward. It's slightly different in the UK because the financial year is in April, so there's a bit of a lag. It's around February, but that's just yeah. So we often see some of those conversations happening as well.
Cool. I'm glad Joe just chatted something that I thought I should just bring to everybody's attention to. One thing that I've neglected to do in some of these calls is not to encourage people to, well, let me say it in a positive way. Please share your LinkedIn URLs or other contact information that you'd like. If you want to better connect with people on the call, just like stick it in the chat. I know Hung Lee on Recruiting Brain Food is always like really, really great at doing that. I've made a lot of really good connections that way. Another thing I had written down to talk about in how to close out 2025 in a strong way is educating customers. I think that one thing that a lot of businesses, and certainly ours is not immune to this, is that I think we overestimate how much our customers really understand who we are, what we do, what our pricing is, the value proposition. And sometimes when we're just like caught up in the midst of a storm or everything is really busy, things get pushed aside. I think this is a good time of the year to kind of take a step back, look at your messaging, and talk internally about how that messaging could be better. It could be adding more value to your customers, suggesting ways that they can do their jobs better that don't have any direct path to revenue. It could, and I know Matt, like you've done a ton of that. Counseling hospitals about how to better hire nurses, whatever it is. It's good karma. That stuff I think comes back long term, but it's a very indirect path to revenue. But I've also just seen loads of times, and we sent out a big proposal the other day where the customer has been buying from us the same way for 4 years, every quarter the same way, and it's basically the same dollar number. We want them to buy in a different way that we think is actually going to be better for them and better for us, and the dollar number would be higher, but they'll get more value. This is the time of the year where you can usually afford to spend more time doing that. Anybody, maybe in years past, maybe this year already, sort of taking that step back, looking at the language they use, looking at their messaging and saying, hey, this is a good time of the year, either to send it out or to just get it ready to send out in Q1.
Can I just jump in just quickly?
Please, Louise.
This is in line with what you're talking about, Stephen, but is a little bit of a plug from my point of view. But I think it could be helpful in this conversation. So next week we're running a marketing congress for job boards. So it's targeted content for job boards. So we're covering marketing strategies, we're covering SEO. Alex Tchaikovsky is going to be doing that. The guys from Jobberco are doing a session on successful social media marketing, and Results Generation are doing a session on email marketing, so how converting customers and candidates to your platform. So it's all specifically for job boards, and there's complimentary access for anybody who has attended one of our 2025 events, which includes the roundtables today. So in the chat, I'll just put my email address on there. So if anybody wants to join us on Tuesday afternoon, pop me an email and I'll send you the link so that you can have complimentary access for that. And you may be that there's people in your marketing teams that you might want to join that. It may not be yourselves, but your marketing teams are welcome, and that could help with some of the things that you're talking about, Stephen, your messaging and looking at your processes and procedures this year for how you can do things better next year.
That's awesome, Louise. And when I saw, I think I saw it maybe 2 weeks ago, the event, I think I saw a write-up about it. I was thinking, and I may have just read it wrong, but I was thinking it was for like if individual people had attended one of the events. But I think what you're saying is like, no, if any of your organizations have been part of any events, like anybody in their team,
yes,
and participate.
So, yeah,
Awesome.
Exactly. So Matt came along in October, but if he's got someone in his team that he specializes in the marketing and messaging, then they can just pop me an email and I'll get them registered. So
Awesome. And that's Tuesday, November 18th. Okay.
yes.
Stephen, may I jump back for a minute? You mentioned
Please.
that you were going to tell us about a new partnership that you
Oh,
had,
okay.
and then you skipped over it.
I did.
And you're going to go back to it and tell us, right?
Thank you for reeling me back in, Peter. Peter and I co-host the Inside Job Boards and Recruitment Marketplaces podcast, and we do a lot of reeling each other back in. Don't forget to talk about this. I was going to ask that question. When one of us skips over something, the other one tends to jump in. So we're in the middle of rolling out a partnership with Combo to do the hosted apply pages and that better integrate with the ATS. And what we've seen from some testing of that is that the application rates are like the number of candidates that we need to send to a job to generate an application is going up by 2 to 4-fold. And for us, in where we're very heavily programmatic and very heavily performance based, the effect of that isn't so much on the revenue side. The effect of that, what I'm looking at is that I think that our cost of acquiring the traffic, whether it's literally buying a click or whether it's just getting a job seeker to apply to more jobs, is going to go down by 2 to 4-fold. So if we're making, say, $20 on an application, I don't really think that we're going to make more than that. But what I think is going to happen is it's going to improve our gross margins.
This is because they're completing the application on your platform, isn't it?
It's part of it is that, and there are some other players, like Samantha Leach has been on a bunch of these calls with UBO. There are a couple of others that do this well, like they do as well. So part of it is the candidate applies on our site rather than going to the ATS. And another part of it, though, is that what a lot of these sort of intermediaries do, and I think some job boards do this for themselves when they do the integration with the ATS, is that they eliminate a lot of those optional questions that employers love to throw in. So, you go to an ATS and you might encounter 30 fields in order to apply to a job that are required. There might be another 30 that are optional. And every question that you ask somebody results in an increased drop off. So when you start to throw in 5, 10, 20, 30 optional questions, you can easily reduce your conversion rate by 2, 3, 4-fold just by asking stuff that you don't need to ask. And a lot of times people who aren't in marketing will be like, well, what's the big deal? It's just one additional field. Well, depends on the field. Years ago, we had I think it was like Domino's or Pizza Hut or some big pizza chain that was advertising jobs on our site for drivers. It was a 45-minute application process if you answered all the questions. And 2 of the questions were, it's like, I don't have any idea why they would be asking this question until the person is like actually starting. Date of birth and social security numbers. It's like, why would they even want that data up front? Because now they have to safeguard it. When you start to ask those sorts of questions, you see massive drop off. So it eliminates those optional questions.
So I know,
We're getting a new key. He brought his key guy.
What was that, Ethan?
I thought I was on mute talking about the guy picking up my car out front. Sorry. And you've done such a good job keeping me silent this entire conference. You have not let me speak once, and the one time I got to speak was about the damn car key. What the
Are you
hell?
sure that you weren't on mute when you thought you were talking, and you've actually just been the whole time through?
All right, Ben, take it easy, Papa. Do I get to talk now, or am I interrupted? I got something to say.
Go for it.
On immediate sales and business growth, one of the things I've observed, I mostly consult these days. I've done a couple of back and forth stints with Job Target, which is like a job board in a sense, right? And we've noticed that since 2021, this just rapid decline in high volume sales and marketing just falling apart through a combination of we got so good at automation of email and phone calls through technology that everybody was using it. And so like that local presence dialing from 10 years ago, and Stephen, you and I have spoken about that. I now don't answer calls from 413 area code because I know that's a trick, right?
And
I think
that, for clarification, that's your area code.
That's my area code.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I'm immediately suspicious of a number that comes up with my area code that I don't already have them in my contacts.
And it used to be a local call when it first local presence dialers came out. I would answer that. Maybe it's the school, maybe it's an emergency, and that's why it worked so well. And then, you know, email has gotten very good and sophisticated between what you Europeans have done to us with all these rules and shit. No offense, guys. And then just the filtering and types, if you're Google Suite type user, those things have all dramatically reduced traditional spray and pray type email marketing, right? And so I used to say, solve all problems with high volume technology and automation. I told that to you 10 years ago, Stephen.
Mhm.
And I wonder if people are spending time thinking about, I can tell you the whys, what do you need to do differently? And I'll just give you the short answer is bring back very targeted account-based, but find AI that can automate some of that customization. Move from messaging in your mass marketing that is buy from College Recruiter. We're the best, we're the greatest, we're the this and we're the that. Hope you can talk, schedule time. To, hey, IBM, it looks like you've had a tremendous surge in job openings on your site. It looks like many of those, right, are for lower level positions. Would love to talk about how College Recruiter has helped Microsoft and Google the way it can help IBM. So turning it from about me to about you. And we can now do some automation of that. But I think gone are the days of massive automation. I think we have to use LinkedIn way better. I'm going to give a free trick here. One of the key learnings that I recently discovered in LinkedIn is the best one-to-one communication on LinkedIn is connection, no, mention, no, relevant data, no, repost the prospect's post. They immediately see that you did it. Repost with a comment. Looks like IBM's doing some really cool shit in recruiting. That's a one-to-one, right? So, and it's not automation. LinkedIn doesn't do well with the automation tools built around it. I don't like most of them. And I have literally had to change my entire talk track from my Zip days to my early Vital Few consulting days where I'm like, dialers, email platforms, sequences, outreach. I'm off of it. I'm like, we got to go back. We got to start talking about you, not me. And we got to get back into ABM. And if you start applying and experimenting with new techniques, start with make sure you know your ICP. Everybody knows what ICP is. Yeah. Identify your ICP, understand it, and then look for tools. Even if you're just using ChatGPT, describe the prospect, tell it to go out and do a bunch of research, and not draft an email that's about how great Job Target, College Recruiter is. Draft an email about what challenges and opportunities they face that might match with what you do. Be intelligent. And those messages, especially this LinkedIn repost, has been tremendously successful for me in engaging with people on platforms that are notoriously difficult to get time and attention on. So account-based marketing, you can do this year. And it's all a lot of trial and error. I kind of sell consulting around that. I'm not pitching it. I'm giving you the answers. I actually have a link I can give you on the how-to. And my consulting, just so you really know I'm not selling, I don't charge for ideas. I charge for doing things, right? So I actually put together a guide on a flywheel that addresses like sales and marketing 2025 and 2026. If anybody wants it, just message me. But the world, she has changed Thank you, regulatory bodies. Not really. Thank you, Ethan, for building connect and sell type services. I did it, outreach. We all did it. We all admit it. But now it's time to figure out a new way to cut through the noise. Oh, and by the way, your customers get more noise in their inbox and phone than they've ever seen with every new AI startup, every new platform startup, not just other job boards, right? So they're so inundated. Cutting through the noise is the new North Star for sales. So if anybody wants a link, it's a free playbook I can send you. And I'm really not trying to sell. I don't have time for more clients right now, to be honest.
Yeah, and Ethan dropped his LinkedIn in the chat, so that should be easy to reach out. That's good, and I'm glad you talked about that repost idea. The likelihood of a potential customer realizing that you've done that 50 times is pretty close to zero, right? The likelihood is that they're only going to see that you did it with their post.
That's right.
And they go to your profile page and they can click and they can see what else you've posted and commented on. Yes. Who the heck has time for that? Certainly not, a busy TA person. So all they know is that you posted something. I would just encourage people, and Ethan, I think you were kind of saying this towards the end too with all the automation. So please, no more slop. Like, if I get one more email telling me about a blog article that I wrote and how illuminating that was, it's like I think I'm gonna puke.
You got to get so good at using AI that you're not seeing AI. And what that means is what we've always known: real data, real context, real impact. Right? Those are the things that you want to talk about. Your stupid blog post, no offense, just is irrelevant.
I'm good at writing stupid blog posts, Ethan.
I've read most of them, so we'll agree to agree.
I mean, I never went down this whole automated crap anyway. It's just a load of bullshit. I remember a couple of months ago,
you'd be a lot richer now if you had.
Probably. But I hate bullshit. Stephen, a couple of months ago, you put onto LinkedIn that you had received something from an AI sales generated email thing. It saw you were in Minnesota and said, I'm sure you've been to the Minnesota State Fair.
Yeah.
Like, have you eaten the donuts there or something?
Right.
Something like that. Just a lot of nonsense.
So, kind of like I see some of those the AI slop emails and it's like, okay, I absolutely can see that it's being sort of smart. Right? It's picking up location, it's picking up a blog article, it's picking up a job title, something like that. I've had emails come to me and say, I see that you used to work at Honeywell. Well, I haven't worked at Honeywell since 1991, but that's okay. I mean, they're picking up stuff from my past, and I'm sure I'm one of a million people, so I'm not like saying that anything I'm getting is anything special. I think very much the opposite. It's just very obvious to me that this stuff is being done at scale. It makes me less likely to want to work with that organization than more likely. I'm going to hit block on that email, which is going to hurt their deliverability rate when they're actually trying to like email with like legitimate customers. And it's not just the domain that they send that email to. If there's a link in the email to their website, Google is smart enough to understand, and it's going to rank that website lower because Google doesn't like spammers. So that mass automation that so many vendors are using is, I think it's a recipe for failure.
My favorite one.
I think one of the things that 2025 has taught me is that we all crave real human contact, and going to conferences, being on calls like this, having a call. I've got a meeting next week with a guy. It's sort of in our industry who's here in Minneapolis, and our paths have crossed virtually probably 100 times over the years. He lives like 2 miles away from me. We're actually going to have coffee. I mean, I think that's the kind of thing that is when we're in the holiday season, and we mostly have more time at work, less time personally at this time of the year. That's the kind of thing that I'm resolved to do more of. Is those real personal work conversations.
I think
We've
we're
got about
fortunate.
7 minutes left or so. Anybody have anything that they're, in the next month and a half, that even if it's not, we're not going to complete this, that it's like, this is what we're getting started on?
I'm also doing the combo, going down the combo route, so I can report back on that and compare notes. That'd be interesting.
Okay.
And social media, Thibaut, with Jobico, I'm going to explore social media promotion of jobs as well.
That authentic,
could be
not
interesting.
canned, authentic, not canned, authentic. I'd rather see you holding your phone on social, right? And we know this, than my beautifully designed AI videos on LinkedIn, if you've watched, or a commercially designed video about your business. I don't want to see that on TikTok. I want to see you talking about how smart you are and telling me something I don't already know. That's social.
Yeah, and I think a great example of that, Ethan, is I think he's been doing it for most of the year, but Hung Lee started to do these little I can't remember what he calls them, but walk and talks or something like that. He basically grabs his phone and he just like goes out into, one of the neighborhoods around where he lives in London, and he's just kind of like holding his phone up and walking. I keep kind of like waiting for him to like bump into something, and so far haven't seen it. Maybe he's edited that out, but it's not it's easy to produce. It costs him only his time, and it's just kind of like thought of the day, kind of stuff. Very authentic, very personal.
Ben Groves on this in this parish right here does a similar thing, don't you, Ben? You walk around and do those little movies. Do they go?
I mean that came from because I tried to do something polished. After doing 50, I was just trying to do something for 50 takes. I was like, I just need to get out of the house.
I think that's an incredible suggestion. And when you think about it, our users, our customers do behave a lot like a consumer in the sense they all follow Hung Lee and Joel What's-His-Face, right? They're all following those guys. This is what interests them. It's not what us assholes are saying about buy our shit. That doesn't interest them. I have 12,000 followers. They have 100 and 200 and 300,000 followers on LinkedIn, which is amazing. But it's because it's authentic them and you're telling me something I don't already know.
So, okay, Ethan said something, and Ben, I want to come back to you to put you on the spot here a little bit. So Ethan referred to, let's call it quantity. When you're doing these videos, Ben, how are you measuring success? Is it the quantity, like how many views, how many people are clicking? Is it quality, like engagement, maybe leads that have been generated for it? Like when you do a video and it's like, wow, that worked well, how do you know that that's worked well?
So it's nice when there's a debate which comes off the back of the video. But for me, more than anything, I do the videos for myself. It's one of those, seeing other people doing it. I've never been great at social media, and I just wanted to break the barrier. It's people talk about writing on LinkedIn every day, setting themselves, that's the challenge. But honestly, just picking it up, and sometimes I've done a video before and then gone, God, what even is this about? What am I going to get out the back of this? And it's, but I put this up and just do it and then move on to the next one. And it's kind of stop making it a big thing.
And where are you seeing the engagement? Where are you posting it that you think you're getting the biggest bang for that? Because I think this is an idea that just about everybody in this call that might be watching this video, this is the kind of thing that tomorrow you can start doing, and it doesn't cost a thing, to Mike Corso's point earlier too.
It's at the TA Tech conference yesterday, somebody was saying about this, that when you spend money on branding, it improves the conversion rate of job listings on brand advertising. Your job listings actually perform better. And for me, it's very much that, as Matt has just said, I've seen Ben doing those videos before. I get into a conversation with somebody who is like a new connection or something, and they say, oh, we've seen you doing the video. The content's might not have been relevant for them. That's not the reason why we're talking. But they've gone, oh, we've seen that. We know more about you. We get the idea behind you. And it feels like you're saying it's that more one-to-one connection, even though we're either side of a screen.
But are you seeing the most engagement on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram? Like what platform are you seeing?
So LinkedIn, I'm not on TikTok, I'm not on Instagram. I don't live that lifestyle. But yeah, so LinkedIn for me, like the stuff which I talk about is like professional industry type stuff, as opposed to what I've eaten for my dinner and where I'm going on holiday next week. Who knows? Maybe that'll be 2026.
Very cool. We've got about 1 minute left. Anybody been holding off on asking a question or throwing an idea out? All right. Well, cool. This thank you. I think that there are definitely some very actionable ideas that came out of this. One of the reasons I like to do these roundtables is I kind of like to walk away from these sorts of things with at least one or two things that I can say, okay, you know what, that is going to help me. That is going to help my business. I'm going to put that into action right away. There might be another 5 or 6 or 7 things that it's like, okay, that's great, but that's not for me. So hopefully people all kind of got at least one thing that they can walk away from. If anybody has any ideas for a future topic, second week in December, second Thursday in December, then again January, February, definitely reach out to me. Happy to take ideas for what we should talk about. Yeah, Ethan.
Just quick idea that occurred to me. I didn't hit TA Tech or Luis's conference this round. I will again at some point. Is there a format that we mix in where we get to hear what is Peter Zollman's business? What is Joe Meyer's business? Tell me what you're doing. Like, we're not selling each other, but you have to share your financials and all that stuff. But I'd like to know more about everybody's businesses. Do you guys know what I do really? Probably not. I know a little bit about Matt through these things, but especially as we have a transient segment of the community that comes in and out. Maybe every session could start almost like with a spotlight for 3 to 5 minutes. This is what I do. Just occurred to me in real time. So you go think about that as action items. Thanks for letting me come and hang out with you all again. I always enjoy this.
Yeah. Does that idea to have like a spotlight on like 1 or 2 people, an episode, and then kind of dive into the topic, or maybe even,
if people are happy to be spotlit.
Yeah. Yes.
For those that don't want that, then. But I think it's a good idea. I like the idea.
Yeah. My wife, who is much more extroverted than I did, in a company meeting a couple of years ago, we had like 20 people on the call. And she basically starts off like, we're going to talk about extroverts and introverts. And then she called on the most introverted person in our company. And she says, tell me what it's like to be introverted. And I still tease her about that like every week. So no, I'm not going to like start to call out somebody and say like, Matt, yeah, I want you to talk about nurses.co.uk for the next 5 minutes. So if you want to, I
don't think we should sell to each other, even though we might all sell or partner with each other. Let's not make that the thing, including people like me who do sell shit, right? Or Alex. Or I also think from a social and marketing perspective, if I'm being spotlit, I'm going to go tell all my friends that I do business with and my clients, come listen to me talk. So maybe we get 30 or 40 more people, because they all love me so much.
That's debatable, but we don't have time to debate that. Hey, everybody, for those in the U.S. or otherwise celebrating American Thanksgiving, best holiday of the year in my opinion. Otherwise, there's plenty of holidays over the next couple of months, and I wish you guys all the best. I'll see you a month from today. Cheers, all.
Bye, everyone.